The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has been exposed for lying to Londoners and raising taxes on ordinary people. And we have some great news from Priti Patel on ending the free movement from the European Union. So let's start with the bad news first. What's happening in London with our beloved Mayor, Sadiq Khan, that beacon of hope. So this guy, a couple of days ago, came out and begged the government for cash because he, as the mayor of London, he's in charge of the transport for London, all the trains and public transport in general. And he said that I'm running out of money, so we need a central government to help us to bail us out. And he didn't actually explain exactly how he managed to mess up the TfL so badly over the last 4 years since he's become mayor of London. And the government decided to help him out. That's what we do in this country, apparently. Everything's centralized. Now, it was kind of necessary at this point because this guy's messed it up. But he has to answer some questions. You can't just give him some cash and say, it's fine, continue your work. Now, the problem we have here is that he decided to say that one of the conditions for this bailout was for the central government, Boris Johnson, to increase the road tax, the congestion charge in central London, where cars obviously go, if they go to central London, they have to pay extra. And he said that the government forced me to increase this tax. Now, this is what he said, and I'm going to show you the clip, and we now have new evidence of the truth behind what Sadiq Khan's actually done. Let's watch this.
The congestion charge increase is not down to me, it's down to the government. The congestion charge increase is not down to me, it's down to the government.
A few moments later.
The Guardian is indicating that it wasn't a condition of the bailout. A spokesman for the Mayor of London said that the government and Khan agreed that the charge should be reviewed, but that it was the Mayor's decision to increase it. That's according to a spokesman for the Mayor.
Well, that's a bit awkward. So basically, he tried to shift the blame onto the government so that the London voters don't really blame him and attack him. But it's now even exposed that he's been lying to everybody about this whole issue. So this is our mayor, and this is it's not the first time he's lied. Now the situation with the TfL. Let's start with this first, because this bailout, according to the Independent, writing this article, saying how the TfL bailout was a public flogging of Sadiq Khan, but he may use it against the Tories. Now, TfL was just hours away from declaring technical bankruptcy on Thursday, and then they secured this £1.6 billion emergency bailout to City Hall. However, the last-minute package also came with a list of stringent restrictions. They've taken some powers away from Sadiq Khan and given it to the central government in terms of the management of the TfL. They include putting the government representatives on the board of the TfL, forcing an increase in fares, a rise in the congestion charge. This is where the Independent lies. It's no surprise that they lie. The issue with this whole thing is that I'm not really actually in favour of the way the central government have dealt with this. I don't want a centralised representative on the board of TfL. That's also some sort of power grab situation. But Sadiq Khan made a mess, and he has to fix this. Now, Benedict Spence has written in the Telegraph about this whole issue and says that Sadiq Khan is in a TfL mess of his own making. The bailout demand will do significant damage to the mayor's credibility. Now, this situation is that the shortfall is estimated to have cost the TfL upwards of £650 million over that 4-year period. Not quite the eye-watering sum Khan claims to require to keep the trains running, but it's a big chunk. Now, the issue with this is that one could say that he has become the victim of his own pretty shameless electioneering, because he's been doing that for a long time. He's been spending money on his PR team, his spinning, and keeping fares stable in a city where during peak times 1 million can cram onto the tube and buses in less than an hour. Now, this is a good point. And the problem for Sadiq Khan is that he says that we can't completely rely on just the ad revenue that we get on the tube in the stations and also the fares. But it's slightly misleading if you consider the whole situation. And again, Benedict continues in this article, and he's talking about how at the time when most of the country has to make do with substandard public transport infrastructure, the funding argument will go down particularly poorly. Londoners can more than afford to fund the system itself, and the fact that quite so much of the additional money he now requires was there for the taking, but essentially frittered away on a large vote-winning scheme will harm his reputation. So he says that we can't just have Londoners paying for the tickets and the ad revenue, but actually enough. It's enough revenue for the TfL, for the trains to continue running. He just needs to stop lying. That's if he just does that, that will be great. Now, this is the same guy who, when this whole situation with the lockdown before it started, he said, this is what he claimed, that there's no transmission on the London Underground system. And all these people sitting here, where is it? There we go. Sitting right next to each other. No risk of transmission. Absolutely no risk. Really? Now, the other problem for this guy is that it's not the first time he's lied. And he will continue to lie. If you combine Barack Obama and Justin Trudeau, you'll get Sadiq Khan. Now, one time he claimed that he's in favor of Uber. Another time he claimed that he's in favor of black cabs. His flip-flop is interesting. Watch this video, and then we're going to expose this next lie.
I mean, it's a question, and what I want to ask is why you sort of say that you used Uber when you were campaigning to be mayor, and then say you'd never use them when you decided to revoke their license. I mean, isn't that dishonest?
Well, Hannah, thank you for that relevant question about the EU. Let me answer that question directly. I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Next caller.
He doesn't know what he was talking about. Firstly, that rude answer. Next caller. So he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's okay. We could remind him. This was the time when it was emerged that Sadiq Khan stated that I am both an Uber and a black cab man. He was in favor of both Uber and black cabs. Do you know why? Because he wanted to get votes from both sides. And then he said, then it was revealed that he has never used Uber, as he hints that the deal could mean that company's license is restored. Suddenly, he remembered that he never uses Uber. What's Uber? Who's Uber? So, yeah, this is the shambles, omni-shambles of Sadiq Khan. And unfortunately, this guy is probably going to win the re-election because everyone else is terrible. You got the Tory candidate, Sean Bailey, who's not even being visible during this campaign. He's too nice. And it doesn't really work when you're dealing with a beast like Sadiq Khan and a tribal London. But enough about this guy. Let's talk about some good news. Tomorrow, Monday, we're going to have some great news coming from the Home Office and Priti Patel. She's ending the free movement. Finally, it's happening. We are finally going to be able to control our borders properly. Now, the situation we have now is that Priti is to announce tomorrow in Parliament that she's finally pressing ahead with the legislation next week to end freedom of movement. The European Union are completely kicking off because they've taken us to court already on this issue. Now, this is to fulfill the Brexit mandate because it was all about taking back control of our money, of our laws, and our borders. And so she's now completely going to confirm that the government's line is we are going to be leaving at the end of December, whether you like it or not. And then the second thing is that she has promised a Australian-style point-based system. Not everybody is happy about this. The Labour Party are freaking out. So they've now said that the Labour Party will vote against this legislation next week, arguing that the timing of the bill is dangerous. Is it? We had a deadline. We are leaving the transition period, end of this year. How is it dangerous? I don't know. So the Shadow Home Secretary has now said that these recent months have been a reminder of the contribution the frontline workers make in our communities. What's that got to do with anything? Absolutely anything. It says that we are struggling through the uncertainty of this crisis with an NHS on. Oh, can't say this in. They always say it's understaffed and heavily reliant on workers from across the world. You just said across the world. This is the plan. The plan is to have a point-based system. If we need more nurses, we will bring more nurses. If we don't need low-skilled workers, we won't bring low-skilled workers. It's not difficult to understand, guys. It's not. But these guys, they don't care. They truly want some sort of globalist, open-border fantasy land, some sort of Star Trek world. Just stop it. Stop it. It's getting embarrassing. This is why no one takes the Labour Party too seriously anymore. So we will keep you guys posted on this issue because it's going to keep updating itself in the next couple of days with parliamentarians debating it. But luckily, Boris Johnson has a majority. There's not going to be any issue. It's going to go through. And so if you want to keep up to date, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, you could become a member if you want to support the channel and get more in return. If you are a member already, today check out your community page. I'm going to post the opportunity for you to ask your questions because tomorrow we're going to have the live Q&As. So you can submit your questions and I will answer them. As usual, I'm Tousi. I'll see you guys tomorrow and at 8 p.m. tonight with our daily vlog.